All right, we're going to go ahead and get started for today. Thanks everyone for joining us for our April Utah Children's Care Coordination Network meeting. We have a full agenda today, so I'll go ahead and jump right in. We'll start with our announcements. We're going to flip the schedule a little bit and start with our learning session today after the announcements, which will be about the Comprehensive Care Clinic. And then we will have a resource highlight and an autism mini module from Sylvia before we wrap up the meeting around 9:30. So as always, if you can take a minute to rename yourself in your Zoom profile, that just helps us keep attendance for this meeting. Um, if you can include your name and your role and your agency, that helps me keep track of who's been joining us each month. And then also, if this is your first time joining us, we'd love to have you drop your email in the chat as well, just so I can make sure you get added to our listserv. You'll get all the announcements and resources from this meeting and access to the slides and everything as well. So for announcements, I wanted to make everyone aware that the Utah Parent Center has updated their summer resource guide. This is a guide that they put out every year. It's been updated for 2026. So I'll include the link to that on the Trello board. And next month, we're going to talk a little bit more about recreation services as well. But I wanted to make sure everybody knew that that summer guide has been updated for 2026 and is available on their website. Does anybody else have any other announcements they want to share? Okay, then we will move to our learning session for today, which is about the Comprehensive Care Clinic. We have Dr. Laura Murphy joining us, and I am going to turn the time over to her.
I apologize, my video is not working this morning, but I believe I can show you my slides. So we will start there. Can everyone see those? Can we see the slides?
Yes, I can see them.
Okay, let me see a second. Let me hold on. Let's start the show. I apologize. It's not letting me start. Okay. All right. So I'm Dr. Laura Murphy. I'm from the Comprehensive Care Program. It's in primary children's. And I'm just going to share with you, many of you may be familiar with our program, but just wanted to kind of review what we do in our division. So we take care of children with medical complexity, and I'm sure many of you know that children with medical complexity are a subset of the 18% of U.S. children who have special healthcare needs. They have the highest degree of medical fragility and the most intensive healthcare needs. They often have technology dependencies like trachs and G tubes and have high psychosocial complexity as well. And they account for only about a 1% of all US children, and yet that 1% carries a big impact. That 1% of children actually account for about a third of all pediatric healthcare expenditures, over a third of all hospitalizations, over half of all inpatient days because they stay in the hospital longer than other children, and over half of all hospital costs. And they're the biggest driver for most rehospitalizations as well. Um, as I'm sure many of you are aware, this is a huge stress on the families who take care of these kids. When this child comes home from the NICU after a prolonged hospitalization, it's very highly prevalent for a parent to have to quit their job in order to take care of these kids. So many times the families will report financial stressors, having to go down to one income. There's high reports from caregivers for lack of sleep, poor mental health. Siblings often get kind of put on the back burner for these children, so they have less proactive immunizations and healthcare for them, and they have a much higher risk of mental health concerns. And the majority of families, when you survey them, report unmet needs. And that honestly has not changed in like 30 years of studying this. Most families still feel like the healthcare system does not meet all of their needs. For the comprehensive care program in Salt Lake City, it was established in 2007 by my colleague, Dr. Nancy Murphy. And the criteria in order to get into our program is you have to have high medical complexity. You have to have at least three organ systems that are chronically and severely involved. Most of our patients have high medical fragility. They are frequent and prolonged hospitalizations. They have life-limiting conditions. We do see a lot of patients collaboratively with our palliative care team. Most of our patients have technology dependencies. They're trach vent. They have pumps and G tubes, et cetera. I would say the majority of our patients come from the NICU or from the ICU. Many of our patients have congenital anomalies as well as acquired brain injury, et cetera. What do? We kind of fill in the gaps. So our patients, of course, are the center. Their family is a huge part of their care. Their primary care provider and their specialists take care of them. But there's often unmet needs. So who writes the nursing orders? They have three or more organ systems involved. Who writes for the wheelchair? Who manages their G-tube feeds? And we kind of fill in the gaps. We don't replace specialists. We don't replace primary care providers, but we try to help work alongside of each of those things to make sure the kid has everything that they need. Our faculty, myself, I just became the division chief in July. It was Nancy before me, and she is in a stage retirement. We also have Justin Alvey, who's in general pediatrics. We have Natalie Darrow, who's a PICU trained physician who works at our in our clinic and also at one of our nursing facilities. We have Jen Britton, who's a hospitalist who works only at our nursing facilities, both at South Davis and Neurorestorative in Riverton. Avery Hill, who's a general pediatrician. Katie Irby, who does med peds and palliative care and actually runs our transition program. And Andy is our PA. We have actually four care coordinators. One of them is off the slide. I apologize. Danielle Williamson should be on here, as well as Savannah, Katie, and Gabby. And then we have adjunct people in our group that are not technically part of our program, but help with many of our clinics. We have a dietitian, respiratory therapist, speech and language pathologist, and some social work support as well. What are the services we provide? We have an outpatient clinic at both Eccles and Lehigh. We do inpatient consultations at both Salt Lake and Lehigh as well. And then we run two nursing facilities, one in South Davis, which is both an LTAC and SNF facility, and then one in Neurorestorative, which is a SNF facility. We run a trach vent program, which includes a multidisciplinary clinic once a month, but also weekly rounds on all patients at either hospital who are trach vent dependent. And then we have a trach vent team that makes sure that there are smooth transitions in and out of the hospital and across different areas of the hospital, say post-operatively or ICU to floor, et cetera. We also run a preoperative clearance program for medically complex kids for the orthopedic service. So children who are going to undergo spinal or hip surgery who are medically complex, we make sure that they're optimized as much as possible for their upcoming surgery. And that will include both patients we follow in our program and also patients who do not follow in our program. We may just see them once. We're working on pediatric to adult transitions. Katie Irby is med peds trained and has shared time at both the University of Utah and with Primary Children's to help transition kids from the pediatric to adult world with their medical complexity. And then Dr. Alvey works with the genetics program on some of the undiagnosed disease patients. That's a small part of what we do. So what do? We provide care, both directly and indirectly. So sometimes we are the ones that are managing their sleep, their agitation, their constipation, their G-tube feeds. Again, sometimes there's just things that the specialists aren't doing. So, and it's not that they just aren't maybe working on their sleep because there's other things that are going on. And we know that over a third of children with medical complexity have sleep issues. So who owns that? It takes 6 months to get into sleep clinic. We often will be the one that kind of helps the child manage their sleep. We do a lot of neuroagitation, spasticity, G-tube feeds, outside of like procedures like baclofen or Botox. I mean, we do baclofen, but we won't do the Botox or the baclofen pumps, but we can manage spasticity up until they need those procedures. We do a lot of care coordination. The nurses do a lot of the care coordination for children who are in our program to make sure that they have the nursing needs they have, to make sure they have the DME, make sure they have all their needs met. We also help families with goals of care. Many times families will talk to us well before they're ready to talk with palliative care about end of life things. They'll kind of ask our opinion about whether or not a tracheostomy would be beneficial to their child as well. We assist with transitions both into adulthood, but also inpatient to outpatient, outpatient to inpatient, hospice, whether or not that's a good choice, post-acute care as well. And again, we help a lot with decision making. So that's kind of a summary. Really would love to hear of any questions that you all have. We're available for new patients. We'd love to partner with you and in your roles to help the children get what they need. Three of us actually have Nevada, Idaho, and Wyoming licenses, so we are helpful. We can actually help with people out of state. I don't know. This probably is not, it doesn't have anyone out of state, but that is, we will do some telehealth for children who are coming far to see us. Any questions?
We did have some questions we talked about at our last meeting that I'll go ahead and bring up for the group if that's okay.
Yeah.
So one was, what does the referral process look like, and what are typical wait times at the moment?
Yeah, so it's just a referral. You just either the primary care provider or specialist can put in a referral to the comprehensive care clinic in at Salt Lake City. We'll review them, and then they're usually scheduled within a month.
Okay, great. And then I see Haley just put a question in the chat. She asked if mental health services are also offered to the family and the patient as part of their being
I wish
seen.
that sounds great. We don't have that, unfortunately. I wish we did. Mental health is, of course, one of the harder things to get. We do not have that for our program. We'd love to find a way to provide that, but we don't have that at the moment.
Another question we had was, what does a typical visit look like, or how can primary care help prepare patients for their first visit?
So usually we go through an extensive history of all of their issues, both their past medical history and then any ongoing issues that they have. Most visits, initial visits are an hour and 15 minutes going through. We've reviewed their medical history prior to them coming, but then we have an extensive review kind of addressing all of the concerns that the family may have. Um, we often will help them with insurance or, with the waivers, with equipment, with supplies, send them to specialists that may be a deficit in their plans. We just kind of look for things that we can help them with.
Okay, so I've got another question in the chat here. Actually, a follow-up question from Haley. She said, do you refer to local mental health authorities at all?
Yes, we
Okay.
do. Yes, we for sure do.
Right. And then from Christy McAllister, we often receive a form saying that health services are to be given through the comprehensive care clinic. We've been told that they can still see a separate pediatrician. Is this true?
Yeah, we do not provide primary care. We're not giving immunizations or well child visits, so they still have a PCP. We will do some case management stuff, but if they're getting their care coordination through their PCP, we respect that and have the PCP do whatever they feel comfortable doing, and then we'll fill in the gaps of anything that they don't feel comfortable. So we often work collaboratively, like the CCM is going to the primary care provider, but we are still managing certain aspects of their care that maybe the pediatrician isn't comfortable with.
Okay. And this is kind of a follow-up question to that, because most of the people on this call are care coordinators in primary care
Mhm.
settings. They
Mhm.
said this question was, there used to be a direct line of communication between care coordinators and comp care. And some are finding that a little more difficult to figure out who to touch base with. They kind of get routed to like a general phone line. Can you speak to that at all? Like once care is established, I guess, how is the care shared?
They can certainly message us directly. If it's obviously if you're in the Intermountain system, there's ways to message us directly through the chart. If they're out of that, you can call. We unfortunately still have a main line, but you can be connected to the care coordinators, and then we will collaborate. I think they're pretty responsive. I think our nurses usually answer any message within an hour. So. And certainly through the chart, if you are on Epic, through the Intermountain Epic, we should be able to respond pretty quickly.
Yeah, I think most of the agencies would be out, or most on the call would be outside of the Intermountain
Okay.
system here.
So you
So,
just call the main number. Unfortunately, that's probably the biggest rate limiting step is you might have to wait on hold to get connected to someone who will answer that. But once you send a message to ask for the comprehensive care case management, and they'll leave a message with our team. And they're usually very responsive. We'll be back certainly by end of day, if not sooner.
Heather is put another question in the chat. She said, do your care coordinators work with families to apply for Medicaid, MCCW, DSPD,
Yeah,
etc.?
they can certainly help with that. We also have social work that will help if families are struggling with certain aspects of that. But yes, we go through those applications a lot. We help them submit the paperwork that needs to be done. We make sure that our notes have all the elements that those waivers are looking for. So we certainly do assist families with that.
And then I had one final question. You mentioned a little bit about some transition work being done from pediatric to adult comprehensive care. Can you talk to us a little bit more about what that looks like or how it's done?
So we have a MedPeds provider who is in our program, and is concentrating on kids who are 15 and over and transitioning them to adulthood. If they can be seen at the University of Utah, she can transition them directly to her clinic. In the University of Utah, those patients who do not have insurance that is compatible with University of Utah, specifically Select Health, she is working to help find providers in who will take Select Health, who will take on these kids. So she is connecting with specialists in the adult world to try to make sure the patients, like our trach vent population, for example, she's working with a pulmonary group who are comfortable with the trach vent population. We're getting those kids transitioned. She's working right now with the spina bifida clinic, with the Prader-Willi clinic, with the neuromuscular clinic to try to find what connections into the adult counterparts for those specialties. So we are doing a lot of referrals just for like an aging complex kid to her, and then she's helping to connect these kids to adult specialists.
Great. I'm gonna be quiet for a second and see if anybody else wants to pop on and ask another question or put something in the chat. Okay, it looks like that's it. Thank you so much for joining us today,
Thanks.
Dr.
All right.
Murphy. We appreciate it.
All right. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Let's go back to my screen. Hopefully that answered a lot of questions. I know we had a lot of them about comprehensive care clinics, so that was a really great overview and a lot of good details in there. I'm going to go to next. So, like I said, our schedule's a little bit backwards. Usually we do the resource highlight first today, but Dr. Marie had another meeting she had to hop to after this. So, we're glad we could snag her for the time we had her. And we will next hear about the United Angels Foundation from Brock Hughes, who's their volunteer medical outreach coordinator. Did you have slides, Brock, that you want to share? You're just going to talk to us
Yeah.
today.
Yeah, that'd be great. Sorry, I probably should have shared them with you beforehand, but
That's
let
all
me just
right.
pull that up. Okay, can everyone see this okay here?
I think I need to stop sharing first. And
Oh,
my button for that just disappeared. Here we go. All right. As I can see it, can everyone else see it as well? All right. I'm
Yeah.
getting head nods, so we're good.
okay, perfect. Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me today, and thanks to Dr. Murphy for that presentation. It's great to see, really exciting. I want to just give a brief personal introduction. My name's Brock Hughes. Grew up in American Fork, Utah, but as Athena mentioned, I'm the medical outreach coordinator for United Angels Foundation. I'll tell you a bit about more about that position in a minute, but I'm going to be starting medical school at the University of Utah this fall, so this is really fun for me to be a part of this conversation today. My big passion in medicine is supporting this patient population, patients with special needs and chronic conditions, and that's what I'm all about, what I hope to do with my career. So I appreciate being included in these conversations, and I'm excited to continue to learn with all of you. If you want to contact me, I'd love to connect. So I have my info here, and I'll share that again at the end. Um, but my role at United Angels Foundation is to be our medical outreach coordinator. So essentially, what I'm doing is going around and contacting different pediatric offices and different providers throughout the state and making sure that people know about our resources within medicine. And so I've met with a lot of you from Utah Valley Pediatrics, recognize a couple names today, Brooke and Taylor, have been very gracious to let me share. And then I've been able to connect with a couple other pediatric offices, but noticed some more today, like Wasatch Peds. I don't think I've connected with you. So if you want more information beyond what I share today, reach out and I'd love to connect and help in any way I can. The mission at United Angels Foundation, so we're a nonprofit. It's a parent-to-parent support group is probably the best way to describe it, but it's so much more. The best way I describe it is just community, is really their goal. And they really just want to support children and families with special needs throughout the state, with really three main focuses, so interaction, education, and resources. So the origins of United Angels Foundation is a pretty great story. I don't know if any of you have met or heard of Mark and Amber Leck, but they're very active throughout the state with advocacy, and their story starts with their daughter Aubrey. Aubrey, I think, is just over 18 years old now, but when she was first born, they had an at-birth diagnosis of Down syndrome. So it's totally off their radar. And initially, the reception of this was not very positive at the very beginning from just those around them in the hospital. And they were feeling a bit discouraged. But they had a nurse who had heard about Aubrey and made an effort to come to their room and talk to them. And this nurse had a child with Down syndrome. And rather than focusing on all the scary pieces that came with that, this nurse really just helped them feel hopeful and excited and pointed them to resources and just gave them a ton of hope and excitement for that journey and really eased some of their anxieties. And they knew it would be a road ahead filled with challenges and diagnoses and different things that came with Down syndrome, but they had so much more hope. And they realized that not everyone was lucky to have a nurse like they did and that some families left feeling discouraged still. And so that was where they started United Angels Foundation with the goal of making sure that every family has the opportunity to have community and to have help in navigating their journey and feeling confident in their ability to care for their child. And I forgot this slide was here, so I already kind of explained that, but yeah, feel free to contact me anytime. So we have quite a few programs with United Angels Foundation. I'm going to highlight a few more in depth, but I'll give a brief overview of each. So, the newborn and diagnosis visits. This is anytime a family has a new diagnosis for their child. They're welcome to reach out and we'll try to connect them with a parent or another family who has a child with the same diagnosis. So, whether it's an autism diagnosis, Down syndrome, or any other chronic condition, we always want to help families connect and feel heard and seen. iPads for Angels helps kids get iPads for school if they need a communication device or some sort of accommodation in that way. Summer Learning Program is a pretty exciting one. We're going to be ramping it up this summer, but it's taking place in Davis, Utah, and Salt Lake counties. Usually a couple times a week actually throughout the summer, and it's a lot of STEM activities. So usually the meetup will just be at a park and there will be some sort of activity for the kids to engage with each other and learn in that way. Ride to New Heights is one where they teach kids to bike ride um, with some safe bikes that don't actually let them fall down all the way. Um, that one's been under a bit of a change with the partners we have. so I'm not sure if we'll be doing it this fall, but if you're curious, I can find out for sure and let you know. There's game nights, member meetups. They do a sub for Santa for families in need every year, so there's a lot of families who benefit from that. Community events where they'll meet up every few months and do like a big pool party or different things. And then there's teen nights where the teens all get together. There's young adult meetups. We have a specialist who helps with transitions to adulthood. So um, all the DSPD and all that she's really great with. And I actually just contacted her yesterday for a family who's really struggling. And so she's a really great resource, and I can connect any of you with her if needed. And then there's a couple more things. We do education for families, so we'll have just kind of Zoom seminars once in a while where parents can get on and learn about different resources and things that are highlighted. And then finally, we have an annual event, Walk with Angels, which I'll share a bit more about in a minute. So I want to share a tiny bit more about these newborn and diagnosis visits. So really, as I mentioned, it's just connecting families. And for Mark and Amber, like the founders, it was just an overwhelming feeling, and they had so many questions. And so that's really the goal here is for parents to be able to have their questions answered by another parent and to be introduced to resources and the things that can help them thrive. The team nights, as I mentioned, they're super fun. We do them once a month. They're really structured and engaging. We've done things like bowling, going to the museums, movie nights, just all kinds of different things. Parents can always come. They're welcome to stay. And it's just so fun to see these kids, all these teenagers with special needs or chronic conditions, whatever it might be that might isolate them in other situations, just seeing them laugh and enjoy a night together. As I mentioned, the educational seminars um, we have for parents to just get answers to questions. So some of the topics are sleep, training, IEPs, public education, advocacy, potty training, estate planning. So really just a variety of topics. And then we are pretty open to parent requests. So that's a nice thing for people who are part of United Angels Foundation. So Walk with Angels is our annual event. It's coming up on May 30th, so I thought I'd let you all know. It's always a super fun time. Um, it's essentially a carnival event. There's food trucks, bounce houses, people painting faces. A lot of the college mascots come out. This is their big annual fundraiser, but the best part of it is a lot of the families will get their whole extended family, friends, and neighbors to come, and they'll make t-shirts or find some way to represent the child that they know with special needs. And then the kids will all walk around the block and everyone cheers for them. And it's this fun moment to celebrate these children who are the angels. So when we say Walk with Angels or United Angels Foundation, these angels are the children. And so this is kind of our big event to fundraise for the year and to celebrate these children. And with that, all of our resources are free. So this truly is a nonprofit. Sometimes I think there's a small materials fee for some of the activities for some of these teen nights and other things, but it's usually very minimal. And I think if there was a family who couldn't even afford that minimal thing for one of the events, that United Angels Foundation would be happy to help them. They're more concerned with making these kids feel included. So I just want to open up. I know that's kind of a rapid overview, but does anyone have any questions? I'm happy to answer. And again, I'll share my contact info again in a minute and can answer more in depth later if we don't have time to get to your questions.
I was just looking and seeing if anybody put anything in the chat. I don't see anything, but I'm going to go ahead and ask a question. Oh, no, sorry. Ingrid, your hand is raised. Go ahead.
I was just wondering if you guys have anyone who speaks Spanish or other languages that can help families that
Um,
languages. Yeah, sorry.
yeah, I think we have a few individuals. I speak Spanish myself, so I'm happy to kind of bridge and connect any families that want more information. And then I think there's a few others. A lot of the volunteers we get for our teen nights, young adult meetups are university students, a lot of them at BYU. So some of them have been missionaries in South American countries. So I feel like there's always some Spanish around. I've seen participants who speak Spanish at a lot of these events, and it usually goes okay. So we're always happy to provide those resources. And then I see from Sylvia where the event's held. Um, it definitely varies. So they're all a little different, but a lot of times it's at parks or community centers throughout Salt Lake, Davis, and Utah County. Um, I guess something I should highlight real quick. I'm gonna stop my screen share and then just show our website real quick. So let me just pull up our website here and I'll show you where you can find our activities calendar. And that I think is helpful to find a lot of the event information. So if you go to our main page and scroll down, um, at the very bottom here, there's a Google event calendar. And it's wanting to add it to my normal calendar, so that's actually not very helpful to view. Earlier I had a different view, but anyways, it shows all the events and information. So that's where you can find that. And on the website there as well, there's a spot for families who can get on the mailing list or connect in that way.
Great. Brock, this has been really helpful. It's an organization I don't think I myself knew much about, and it seems like a really great resource, especially for a lot of families that live along the Wasatch Front. Do you guys have anything in Southern Utah, or are you anticipating starting anything in that area?
We don't yet. I don't know if we are anticipating anything at this point. But I think with time it could certainly be possible. But yeah, it's mostly been Utah, Salt Lake, and Davis counties up to this point.
Sounds great. Any last questions for Brock? I was able to pull up that calendar view. I did ask to add to my calendar as well. So maybe if you have a Google account, it wants you to add it and then you can view it this way. So like here's some examples of events this week. It looks like there's something at the Spanish Fork Library, and then a webinar that's virtual next week. Spring Carnival at, let's see, where's that? Eagle Mountain. Teen meetup at doesn't say, but and then something up in Davis County, the at the Hill Aerospace Museum. So that's great. Good.
Yeah, thank you so much for showing that. The teen night and young adult meetups, I don't know. I think sometimes they change last minute, so um you would just
Sure.
want to get on the email list for that. But those ones are so fun and yeah, there's usually something going on every week. So for families who are really needing that social support, it's consistent and always there to kind of have that community.
Great. Okay, well, we're gonna go ahead and shift gears again and turn some time over to Sylvia, who's gonna give us our autism mini module for the month. Do you have slides, Sylvia?
I do.
Okay, great.
Good
Let me
morning.
stop sharing again.
Good morning, everyone. I wanted to present on a topic that was requested, which was what can families do while they're waiting for an ASD diagnosis. My name is Sylvia Barragon. I am the DAC Nurse Care Manager. Many families wait long periods of time waiting for an ASD diagnosis, and the great news is we can assist by providing families with resources while they wait. We can start by, if they're 3 and under, getting them started with a early intervention evaluation. I have here the phone numbers that we can provide for families. They provide services that include developmental evaluations, early intervention services, family support. This is not billed through the insurance. They do have a sliding scale that they would be able to inform the families what the financial responsibility would be for these type of services. If they are 3 and older, they can request a evaluation through their local school districts through the special education department. And I did include the phone numbers here to the Utah State Board of Education assessment specialist, as well as the link to be able to, if you put in the patient's address, it will inform you what district the child belongs to. And the school evaluation can assist with the following, whether if they have any developmental delays or any learning needs or any special education services that the child may qualify for while in school. I also included here a link from the CDC with tips of what families can do while they wait and what they can say when they're calling to request evaluations. So families don't have to wait for a diagnosis to begin therapy. In our clinic, we request that the family or children have a hearing evaluation, and this can be done either through primary children's, the audiology department. We do request that the evaluation be done by an audiologist. I also included here the links for the Utah Pediatric Audiology resources, as well as the early hearing detection and intervention services. And we'll be sharing these slides with you as well. If there are any developmental concerns, the pediatricians or primary care providers can refer for evaluations or treatment for speech therapy, occupational therapy, physical therapy, and feeding therapy. These services can help with communication, motor skills, as well as daily functioning. We also share with our families parent training resources. It's Help is in Your Hands. I included the link here. It's a resource for families whose children have developmental delays and or some symptoms of an autism disorder. There are simple intervention practices to their everyday routines available both in Spanish and English. There's resources for providers and families. It includes 4 web-based modules with practical strategies for everyday routines and also parent-guided interventions that they could use at home. If there are any mental concerns, I included some resources here. The link for the Utah Psychological Association directory. They're all listed psychologists that are licensed in the state of Utah, and you can search by whatever services that you're needing. You can include the child's age as well as whatever assessment or testing or evaluation services that you're needing, which is great that you can go ahead and search that way. A resource that I use quite often is the assessment, referral, and consultation services through Primary Children's. If you provide the families a phone number, they just let them know what insurance you have and what type of therapy that they're looking for, and they will email the family a list of resources that are contracted with their insurance. And if you as a care manager are doing it for the family, they will send it to you as well. And this is the same number that we were using previously, the 801-313-7711. It's the same number, it's just being redirected to this new program, which is a great resource for any mental health concerns. If families are wanting to know or learn more about autism, I have here also some other links from the CDC. What is autism disorder, treatment and intervention, also signs and symptoms, and the Autism Navigators about autism in toddlers, what is autism, and it's all free of charge for families. If a child has been referred for an ASD evaluation to our clinic, you can also check the Utah Department of Health Human Resources list. There is a list of providers available across the state who are also providing evaluations. And I'm open to any questions if anybody has any questions in regards to our clinic. These are resources that we can, or referrals that we could provide families while we're waiting for an ASD diagnosis.
Any questions for Sylvia? All right, I'm going to, in the true spirit of doing our meeting totally backwards today, we're actually going to go to now a case share. And Heather had one to share with us.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Thanks, Sylvia and Brock. That was an awesome presentation. I haven't looked at United Angels Foundation for a while now, and I just had it more in my head that it was connected to more rare genetic disorders. And it sounds like it's, even if a family has a child with autism, there's help and support. Is that correct?
Yeah, thanks for asking that. I guess I would love to speak to that for just like 20 seconds. Mark and Amber Leck, when they founded United Angels, they kind of debated, should we make this just for children with Down syndrome, with their daughter Aubrey having Down syndrome, or should we expand it? And they just felt like no matter what the family was going through with their child, they wanted them to have support. So they made it all inclusive to any child. And for a while, it kind of was just a lot of kids with Down syndrome because that was a lot of their friends and family and the community they made. But they've really been eager to expand it to anyone. And so I feel like in recent years, we've had more kids with autism and spina bifida and cerebral palsy and different challenges coming to events. So that's been really cool to see. And it's something we're hopeful to continue to grow and just make sure everyone feels included.
Thank you. Thanks for elaborating. So good morning. I just have a case. I've been working with the family since December. They have two sets of twins. One twin in each set has an autism diagnosis. One twin in each set has severe GI issues, and the family is working on nightly enemas for each of these two kids. It takes about an hour each. So it's a very overwhelming, stressful situation. We started out with school because that was mom's main concern. We've done 3 of 4 IEPs, completed those meetings already, and that has been helpful in obtaining extra services through the school that seemed warranted, and that was great. I partnered with some Utah Parent Center representatives for 2 of those 3 IEPs, and that was just such a great collaboration between the school, the family, and the Utah Parent Center. So just a plug for them. One of the girls in one of the twin sets had less concerns, less obvious concerns, and less behavioral issues, no concerns with behavior at school. And that has become like a trigger for me later in my career now to just make sure I don't want to cause families any more problems or bring them any more issues or concerns, but I also want to make sure we're not letting kids slip through the cracks. And one of the things that was reinforcing that to me is attending the VU autism program that they held just about a month ago. And they talked about high masking and girls with autism. And so that was an incredible presentation if you can get your hands on that. But I also just found, can you see this? Sorry, you can't really see it, huh? I'm not cool enough to figure it out, maybe sideways. Anyway, what it is there's a Newsweek magazine right now that has a special issue on autism in girls and women and about masking. And the entire issue is about that. And it has been a really great resource for me. So I just encourage you to even check that out if you'd like. So one of the girls that I was telling you about had less concerns, but the more that we talked about it, because 2 of the 4 children have very severe concerns. But we talked about this little girl and found out like she's really shutting down after school. She has really struggles with anxiety, that she's really nervous and kind of wants to parent the other siblings that are having the nightly enemas, and she's really worried about them. And she's having a lot of rigidity in her activities of daily living. So we talked with the school, and for her IEP, we asked for more testing and are getting a little bit more social emotional help for her, consulting with OTs as well. I'd like to put a plug in for Shriners because 2 of these 4 kids are seeing Joel Manuel occupational therapy at Shriners. And I talked with mom last week and she just started crying because she felt like the first time was being seen and heard about all of these difficult occupational therapy type issues, sensory issues. So just a great program there at Shriners. The question that I have is, this mom with 2 sets of twins in early elementary school is so overwhelmed. She is so capable. She is so intelligent. She's also just so overwhelmed. And I'm excited that Brock presented because this is a resource that I will, the United Angels Foundation, I'll talk with mom about the next time we speak. Utah Parent Center, lovely recommendation, lots of support there too. But have you guys found in working with families, just even some of the small things, when our families are so overwhelmed, they work, they have kids with special needs, maybe they can't attend support groups all the time. Have you guys come across any kind of apps or little support groups on Facebook or anything that you would recommend, that you've heard good things about from other families that could help support some of these moms that maybe just finally get 5 minutes to themselves, and you'd recommend something for them? Because, as we know, if we can help the parents alleviate a little stress, we can help the whole family. So just wanted to open that up and see if you guys had any recommendations for this family or other families for support.
That sounds like a tricky case, Heather. I think it's a fine balance between, like you said, overwhelming families and then giving
Yeah.
them tools that are going to be good and supportive for them. maybe we'll send your case out on the email as well and see if
Great.
anybody else has any additional insight. I had a question though, backtrack to the echo that you referenced. Was it Teresa Gabrielson that gave the presentation?
I am so sorry. No, and she is so great, and those were wonderful. It was the
Okay.
UVU Autism Conference that was held.
UVU Autism Conference.
Yeah,
Okay. I was gonna
and
send a link for it, but I was trying to find it.
I can see if I can find it. It
Okay.
was so good.
Okay, it looks like that's given some people some time to think too.
Thank you, Haley.
So Haley's gonna do some ask about the autism preschool program, knows of any resources, and then Brock, looks like you had a comment as well. Oh, a mindfulness app. They've found there's been some research that shows that parents can decrease it with just a few minutes of mindfulness stress. So there's a insight timer, meditation timer.
Thank
It's
you.
good.
Oh,
And Heather, I know that we're on like completely opposite sides of the state, but um, one of the ABA programs that has opened up out here in Vernal, they actually have like a free parenting thing that allows the parents to get together and they have like a big text group and just ways to communicate with each other, which I know the parents out here really like. And they feel like that's really helpful. And I'm just curious if maybe any of the programs out there might have that same type of thing, because obviously, like something like that in Vernal isn't going to help you. But I'm curious if something like that exists, because the ABA group that I'm thinking of, their parents of their children have said that's been really helpful and they've been able to meet other parents that are going through the same things in the same areas. So I kind of wonder maybe if some of the programs also do something like that. I'm not sure, but I do know that they do that out here and it's really helpful.
Haley, thank you. That was such a great idea. And they are hooked up with some ABA, so that's something I can look into. So thank you.
Heather, I'm sorry, I missed. What area are they in?
Davis County.
Okay. Okay. I know Cusca Autism Services offers some parenting as well. I will connect with them and then connect with you as well.
Thank you. Thanks.
I knew this group would have some good resources if we just gave them a minute to think.
Thanks so
Um,
much.
you're welcome. Thanks for sharing with us, Heather. I just since we have a couple more minutes, I wanted to remind everybody about our Trello board. And I know it was kind of a new resource we started this year, so I just want to, now that it's had a few months, I want to kind of introduce it again to the group just as a way of um, making sure you're able to find things in between meetings, or if you remember hearing something a few months ago and you want to go back and look at it, how you can find it. So here on the board, we've got all the meeting recordings, and this is like they slide down bar, so they go back. I've got the recordings linked on here back to September, but if you go to our YouTube channel, they're linked back to like 2015 or something like that if you really want to go back into the archives. Um, in addition to the recordings are the learning sessions, and those are linked with slides. So I don't have the info loaded just yet for today, but I will within the next day or two. But so if you look at March, for example, you can click on these little cards. It gives a description of who the presenters were, some links to websites, and then it also has the attachments, so you can download the slides if you're interested in looking at the slides more closely. We have the autism mini module. So this is all of this the items Sylvia's presented. They include her slides as well that she shared with the group. I try to link any websites that we've talked about that day. So today we have the Pediatric Complex Care website, and then the United Angels Foundation is linked right there for you. So if you click on it, it'll take you right to their website, which is helpful. And then an announcement. So we talked about the summer resource guide again. It clicks and it'll take you right to that resource. So if you're looking for things from a while back, you can also search the board. Let's say you're thinking about, oh gosh, back in February, I know we talked about motivational interviewing, but I can't remember what it was about. So you can just start to type up in the search bar, and it will give you all the cards that are linked to that item. So here we had our training on motivational interviewing. Here's the slides that he presented along with some handouts that he offered as well. So I just wanted to reference back to that board as like a place that we're trying to gather all the resources and things we've talked about in this meeting. And hopefully it's a valuable place. So if you want to see anything added to it or um, another column we can put on there that's helpful, please let me know. And then just to wrap up our meeting for today, our next meeting will be on May 20th. We're going to have our annual legislative update from Gina, of course, because she is the legislative guru. And she'll talk about any new legislation or bills that were passed in this most recent Utah legislative session that affect children and youth with special health care needs. We may also do a little more in-depth topic on summer resources or recreation programs. If anybody has a specific recreation program you want to hear more about, please reach out to me and let me know. I'm still in the works of lining up some stuff for that meeting. But as always, you can stay connected through our listserv. The email is there, and then our the Trello board or the Facebook group. So thanks everyone for joining us today, and we'll see you all in May.